I'm not sure what is it about humans, how we can sense something is directed to self-improvement or non-entertainment. I think it's really interesting that there is this enormous thriving industry around entertainment and escapism, comedy and often beauty is part of it, sex and all of that kind of life stuff that happens. And we tend to really gravitate towards that stuff. If you look at almost all of the entertainment, it always has some element of it. Sometimes drama and those kind of things. But if you have a learning angle in it where there's some lesson to be made that is going to benefit you. I think almost all humans kind of sense that and we discount it to a large extent. Now I know that there's people that try to navigate this, people like Sesame Streets, um, Jim Hansen, these types of things, particularly geared towards little kids. But for older adults, if there is an underlying lesson about something that is going to benefit you, like financial management, for example, or, just getting along with other people, we sense these things and we don't prefer them often. If you look at, the entertainment that tends to do not great, they always have these kind of lessons like that. Of something about, human nature, unless it's extraordinarily done. The sort of the bar has to be so much more higher for those types of things, that types of entertainment. Um, I'm the reason why I'm thinking about this is I was thinking, so I'm reading my kids The Wealthy Barber. And for those of you, or my youngest son who's 13, The Wealthy Barber. For those of you who don't know the book, it was largely popular in the 1980s and 90s. I read it and I was thinking about this. So I'll tell you the story and of what the book is kind of about, and then I'll tell you why I've been thinking about that. Um, so it's about a barber in a small town, Port Huron, that is the wealthiest person in town. And it's all about how they try to figure out, they have conversations with the wealthy barber. And it's kind of a story about how you become so spectacularly wealthy. And in it, it's hidden all these great lessons about financial management. Now, it's a great book. It sold a lot. When I tell people about it, very few people know about it. I don't know why. Um, and the reason why I'm talking about this is when I was in grade 10. So I would have been 15, 14. I actually picked it up and read it myself. And I thought, and it was one of the most influential books of my life. Um, and it's all played out to be true. If you follow, I've been reading it now. I'm like, oh yeah, like all of this stuff, and I sort of followed along with the advice, and we're doing okay. Um, but but the the thing is I was thinking about how weird of a kid I actually was, where I picked up a book about financial management and actually read it from page to page, and later inspired me to go and become a business professor. I think it's an interesting proposition because the book is, if you and now that I'm reading it the second time with my youngest son, it's actually pretty well done in being a little bit more entertaining, but having a lot of information in there about financial management. Um, and and I think it's fascinating. First of all, why aren't more people reading these kind of things? That's the thing that I was puzzling about. And then why is it that we don't pay attention to these things? I think, first of all, the the sort of first order problem is that lots of people are selling you stuff, and there's lots of scam artists that are out there, so we get used to tuning things out, right? And to find somebody that's actually in your best interest is pretty difficult. There's very few people that are in your best interest. There's lots of scammy people that are telling you, like, follow this plan, and you're going to become wealthy and all that kind of stuff. Lots of it. It's just ridiculous. Just go on YouTube. It's ridiculous. Go on TikTok. Go on any of these things, and it's all these 20-year-old kids that really know nothing about what real financial management is about and how do you actually build real wealth. They're, telling you to buy all these kind of schemy things like, Bitcoin and all these kind of things. And even me telling you this right now kind of gets my stomach kind of geared up, because I know that there's people out there that are going to sort of chastise me for even saying these things. But, the truth is the truth. When you actually look at people that build wealth, it's slow. It's doing things that are in this basically like the wealthy barber or the millionaire next door, where it's living below your means, doing something, building something that's yours, saving a lot of money and putting it into mutual funds for a whole big, huge period of time. Um, so very simple stuff, but it doesn't make anybody spectacular amounts of money, right? Like, it's not something that a single individual is going to build a program around and, become extraordinarily wealthy, except for Dave Ramsey. I think he's managed to actually do that. But, you know, but he's got his own little style with that. But I think about this, it's like, as soon as I talk about these things, right? Like, you cash out, you don't care, right? Most people, I probably lost most of the people that are listening to this. They've already been like, oh, this is super boring. But I find it fascinating because how this all works, it's not a instant flashy win kind of thing with money. It's you incrementally build something little bit by little bit, little bit by little bit. It's investing in the 100 best companies or the 1,000 best companies of the world, probably even more. Um, but they grow at 10% per year. So which means like you have a dollar today and you wait for 365 days and you have $1.10. And now most people will be like, oh my gosh, that's ridiculous, right? But that's spectacular growth if you look at how quickly that's actually growing. And over the course of a lifetime, if you do that to by the time that you're 60, 65, 70, even 80, if you're continuing to do that, it's millions and millions and millions of dollars. Like, it's just the way that it works. Um, but, people don't understand that. And so they end up wanting to do the sort of flashy thing and pursue, they want to get, they want to get wealthy very, very quickly. And you don't. It just doesn't work that way. So the challenge then is, why don't we pay attention to these things that are actually good for us? And, I don't have I don't have an answer actually to this. I think that, the simplistic answer is we're myopic. We sort of chase things that, what give us quick wins, all that kind of stuff. But I don't think that's really, I honestly don't think that that is the, the heart of it. I think a lot of this stuff, maybe the answer is that we lose humanity when we think about things over the long haul, right? The humanity disappears and we don't see ourselves in it. Um, because so few people do it. There might be more of what's actually going on, but I don't know. I don't have a very good answer of why, these things they're terribly not entertaining to us. No, even to myself, right? Like, if people start talking about mathematics and all that kind of stuff, like, I don't care. Um, and I think almost every business professor would say the same thing. Even a physics professor would probably say the same thing, that they just don't care. They have to engage their brain and turn it on and start pumping blood into your brain. And people just don't want to do that. So it's fascinating as humans. I don't know what the right answer is. I struggle with this, and how do you engage with people, because if you follow these very simplistic principles, invest. So in the Wealthy Barber, it's 10%. In index funds, mutual funds, I would say 15. I'm more of the Dave Ramsey, even more. Um, you do that a percentage and you'll be extraordinarily wealthy as you get older, but nobody likes to do that. So, if you have solutions, you have the right answers, let me know. All right. Take care. Have a wonderful day.